All right.
At the end of the day, when you know what you need, see tab, and that blue button's now going to be a red button that says end stream. And at the end of the night, when you're all done, hit that button and it'll stop stream.
Okay, I can see that. That's good. Thank you. All right, thank you, Dana. Take care. We're ready to go.
Are we live, Vinny?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. This open meeting of the Northborough Open Space Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law March 29, 2023. All members of the Open Space Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows the Open Space Committee to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. I need to ask a roll call of members. I am John Campbell, and I'll ask the rest of you to reply in the affirmative. Dan Clark.
Here.
Anthony Zeiten.
Here.
Brian Belfer.
Here.
Leslie Harrison.
Here.
Paul Cacciatore.
Here.
Ashley Davies.
Here.
Thank you. Thanks all for coming. We got a quorum. Big news. I want to go off agenda for just a minute to offer my thanks and congratulations to Paul Cacciatore for your part in bringing the Boston Celtics 18th banner. Thank you very much. Must have been fun.
Thank you. It's been quite a week.
I'll bet. I'll bet.
Hasn't been since the college days that I put my head down on a pillow and I heard the birds chirping. So, but thank you very much. And the parade was second to none, and it was more than I ever expected. So, plenty of fans out there. So thank you for acknowledging that. And we're on to banner 19. I already switched inside the office today with a blank one. That's always the next one. So that's where our owner is, and his mind is we start tomorrow.
Well, congratulations.
So thank you.
Good time. Well deserved. All right, back to the boring stuff. First item is to consider and approve minutes from March 25, 2024. Any comments on the minutes, corrections? Hearing none, would anyone like to move to accept the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes as posted.
Thank you, Paul.
As
Brian?
Second.
Second from Leslie. Appreciate that. I'll go around and take a roll call vote for approval of the minutes. Dan?
Yes.
Anthony was not here. Paul Cacciatore?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Leslie?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And John? 6-0. We are approved on the minutes. Thank you. Next thing I wanted to cover was just get an update on the town's purchase at town meeting of the 432 Whitney Street property. Congratulations to all of us on that. Town meeting was in April.
Congratulations to you, John. You did a great job, and it was a tough, tough crowd. So thank you. Kept your perfect record.
Yep. Thank you very much. It was touch and go there for a few minutes. But in the end, I was pleased the town agreed with both the logic of it and the fact that we had planned ahead with conservation money and we had CPA money. It made it affordable. And this is why we save money and why CPA is valuable in town. So it was very satisfying. As far as I know, everything's gone forward with the PNS. I don't know. You have any specific update, Vinny? Any other obstacles that you know of?
No, they're just, right now, they're just going through the process of getting everything reviewed and approved. So I haven't heard that there are any delays. It's just the process.
I had a
Great.
question, and I could go back to the study, but I'm going to be lazy and ask here. There was a comment made at the town meeting, I think, if I understood correctly, that there was concerns about potential contamination of the soils. And I thought I heard, it was you, John, or maybe somebody from town who said they studied just the area where they were proposing housing. Is that true?
I
Or did
don't
I
know where
mishear
the
that?
sample. I heard that comment. I'm not sure it's valid. I don't know where the samples were actually taken from, but I don't think it was just one spot.
I would hope they would be representative of I mean, it's a big piece of property. I would hope it would be representative of the entire. Ashley, you're
believe-
coming on
yeah.
camera, do you know?
I believe it
I was just gonna say, usually the samples are taken as a second step, and the first step is usually a phase one. So they do an assessment of the full property and they say like, this spot should be tested, this one should be tested, and the rest is fine. Likely, it's an opinion, but so I assume that's what happened, but I don't know.
Well, that is the process that's going on. We went out and walked the site again, myself, the DPW director, town administrator. We walked all the way into the back. We didn't walk in through all the wetlands that haven't really been touched, and there was no evidence that indicated any hazardous material was out there. But they're still going to follow through with that and do testing before the actual transfer occurs.
Okay.
Thank you. And what if something catastrophic
Good to know.
were discovered? Do we have any sort of recourse in terms of the PNS?
Yes, then we can step out of it.
Great, okay,
There's
all right, so
an
we're not committed
exemption.
yet until that's completely done. Okay, wonderful, thank you.
And Leslie, just to give you a peace of mind, that's the exact same process that we went through for the high school project in the new fields. It was multiple areas, and to Ashley's point, they pretty much said, we're going here, then we're going here, then we're going there, and that met the requirement, basically. To answer your question, there was stuff that came back. It wasn't enough to stop the project from going forward. So it could very well be that they find something, but it could be that it's not enough to stop the project from moving forward, or the purchase.
But we'll go into the purchase with our eyes wide open. Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome. That was very similar to what we did up at the high school.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you, Vinny, for the additional info. And then as far as I know, we are still expecting the additional contribution from DCR. And I believe the request from the Conservation Commission was that those funds go back to the Conservation Fund, which is completely consistent with what this committee would want as well. So that's a good thing. So at the very least, we'll start with a new balance of 200,000 and can go back to CPC and try to keep building it over the next few years.
And DCR is still going to hold the conservation restriction?
That was my understanding. They offered to do that without extra cost.
Yes, they are. That's also proceeding. They just, I think they're waiting for the new fiscal year. The money comes out of the July 1st budget.
Terrific.
Yeah, I think I said it at an earlier meeting, but just want to make sure that we get an opportunity to review that CR.
Okay.
Yeah, good point. Sure, that would be appropriate for this committee. Does Trails want to weigh in separately, do you think, Brian, or just be
I'm
part
sorry?
of that review? Would Trails Committee want to weigh in separately or just be part of that review as well?
I think I could just share. I just honestly, I just want to review it to make sure that there aren't any unusual exclusions to trail development or anything like that. So I can certainly bring that info back to the Trails Committee to make sure that. But I think we're all looking for just the same notes. I've not had an opportunity ever to review a CR that DCR held, so I'm actually kind of just really interested in seeing how it reads.
Yeah, like I said, I think would be a good role for us. Looking for consistency in things we had done in the past.
And I can ask to make that available to the Open Space Committee. I can try to get my hands on it as a draft and then forward it off to everybody.
That'd be fantastic. Thanks.
Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. A CR by DCR. That's good. Any other questions, feedback anybody has on 432 Whitney? Hearing none, we'll keep this moving. We got a pretty light agenda. Vinny, could you summarize what landowner mailings went out for me, please?
I could. We had sent out, I think it was 17 mailings to 17 different property owners in town that were on our list. And that most of them hadn't gotten any contact from the town since 2017. So this was a new or a renewal of those. There were also probably 5 new notifications or contact letters sent out. And so those are new. I was hoping to get some response, but I haven't heard anything back from anyone yet. But that mailing went off on May 2nd this year.
Excellent. Well, it can take months, it can take years for someone to respond and bring it to bear. So we can just sort of blend this conversation because we do have a specific landowner that we've had some discussions with, and we approved an appraisal, which ultimately was agreed to from the Conservation Fund by the Conservation Commission as well. There's been a little exchange of information with some of the appraisal maps. I'd like to continue to discuss it here, but in generalized terms, as far as not mentioning owner name or property location. But it is the one for which we approved the appraisal. And I wonder if I could ask Ashley and Vinny to kick in with what were the alternate appraisals being looked at, and how did we think that met with the family's expectations?
Okay, well, we went out and we talked with the family, Ashley and myself, and they're interested in selling the property. So that's a good thing to start with. And we hired an appraiser. They completed their appraisal. In the process, or in the time that they were completing their appraisal, the property owners hired an engineering company, and they provided a lotting plan, which was different from what was sent to the appraisers. So right now, I would like to ask the Open Space Committee if we would consider expending additional funds from the amount that the Conservation Commission allocated to update the appraisal to include a review of the appraisal based on the lotting plan that was prepared by the property owners' engineers. It's not an approved design. It's just a rough lotting plan. So whether the lots are real or not isn't defined, but it would at least give, and I believe at least, it would give the property owners a realistic appraisal of the property, because sometimes you think if you have a certain number of lots, you're going to get in Northborough. If you're selling them, you think you're going to get $300,000 for an empty lot. If you're buying them, you're going to get them for 150. So it kind of makes a reasonable representation of what a realistic price is for the sale of the property. So it kind of puts us on a level playing field. So we're all kind of comparing apples to apples. And so that's something that we had spent $3,500 on the initial appraisal, and to do it to do this other alternative, I just got the amount from the appraiser. The cost would be $2,500, which brings us up to a total of $6,000, which was what was approved by the Conservation Commission to spend. So I think it still falls within the amount allocated, but I didn't move forward with the actual work pending your review and your comments.
Can you summarize a little what the lot plan, how did it differ from before?
The
And-
lotting, yep, the lotting plan, different from what we had the appraiser look at, will just kind of remove the existing house and the existing barn and put a common driveway in that location. And so they are getting additional lots with the development, but they're also incurring some significant expenses for demolition of the buildings, as well as construction of long common driveways and long regular driveways. So it's not just a simple calculation of a cookie cutter of lots on a street. It takes some evaluation, and that's what the appraiser is going to be doing.
And I think it'll be helpful for them to see both with, we could pay you this and then you keep the house and the barn and you can sell it for however much, a real estate agent thinks you can get. Or you can knock down your family's home that you're all very attached to, it seems, but it might be the same amount that you're getting. So it's kind of, yeah, I think it'll be a really helpful exercise. 2 out of 3 siblings that are, trustees. I don't know that they don't care what the outcome is. I think they're more concerned that they do their due diligence to provide they want to oversee this with, the fiduciary responsibility first and foremost. And I think all of the next generation will inherit whatever amount of money they get. So they want to make sure that they're getting the most out of this. And there's one that would really like conservation, but he's in the minority. The others are open to it. They just want to make sure it's the right move. So if we do both of these appraisals, both of these ways, I think they'll have everything they need to make a good decision.
Being an historic house, it's gonna have to go through a demolition delay through historic as well. You can't just knock it down.
How long is that, Leslie? I can't remember.
It's only 6 months these days.
6 months. Okay. Yeah. Not quite
6
enough.
months longer than it used to be, but a lot
Yeah.
shorter than some towns have.
Mhm.
I was just about to ask if discussion of this property has it been discussed in the Historic District Commission?
Yes, we actually visited before the death of the homeowner. Norm and I went and visited with the homeowner, with one of the granddaughters, with the granddaughter present, one of the granddaughters present.
About how long ago was that?
It was pre-COVID, so I mean, I can look in my notes, but it was
Okay.
2019, something like that. Maybe even 18.
That was my memory too. So currently,
Everything goes pre and post, during, or post-COVID. So it was definitely
that's it. So
pre-COVID.
we're post-COVID. I guess what I'm getting at is, in any recent historic district meeting, has it come up as a subject matter?
No, kind of the same kind of holding pattern of trying to be respectful. I mean, we did send out another letter since the death of the homeowner, but there was no response.
Right.
It was like, condolence letter and, hey, by the way, we had met, pointed out that we had met, what meeting had occurred prior. But there was no response to that. And it was
Sure.
it went to all three of the trustees.
So I'm not getting the sense that this is a situation where there'd be, that the town would consider any purchase of the house. It's not like we're going to acquire the historic
But that's
property.
the thing, is it's tricky because, I mean, it's a beautiful house. It would make a beautiful museum, but there's just no market for that. It would be it's a spectacular,
True.
really spectacular house. The interior is just immaculately maintained. There are underground railroad passageways in there. I mean, it's quite the house. But
Interesting. But it would be a high priority to encourage the owners to preserve it rather than bulldozing it.
I mean, ideally, you'd find another owner that, you'd find a buyer. Sorry.
Well, good. I mean,
Sorry about that.
it is a great idea then to get the additional appraisal information. So I guess we should vote on that prospect, just to express our desire and approval of it. And then will it have to go back to the Conservation Commission, or do you say they already approved that amount? So you can pretty much just tell them you're going to spend the rest of the budget?
Yeah, I believe that they agreed that they approved it. Dan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they approved the $6,000 for appraisal work. And so this is appraisal work and it comes up to 6,000. So I think we should be okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody have any other input on this opportunity, if you will?
No, I mean, I agree that we should do it. We should do everything we can to have them be as informed as possible.
And what would be our next steps? Continue the sort of private conversations?
Unless Ashley has other ideas, I think we get the appraisal done and then we meet with the trustees, the owners, and walk them through what we came back with for the appraisals and let them think about it a bit, see where it goes from there. Because they're trying to do their fiduciary duty, but I know that they really are proud and concerned about the property. They like that property. It's a lot of sentimental value. So even if the numbers come off a little different, I think they would be supportive of it. But it's how different if there's a significant cost. But I think they know there's a value to history, and it is an amazing house. So I just look forward to having a number to work with them on.
That sounds fair.
Just looking at my records, and we sent the letter, it was back in March of 2023.
Yeah, good enough. I just, I think you want to keep the commission apprised of the effort that's primarily going through Open Space Committee, but
Yep.
So I trust you will, because Norm's still not on the commission anymore, right?
No, he's not. No, we're
He's
doing
just-
fine without him. It was surprising.
Yeah,
Life does
he's
go
just-
on. He's a
Yeah,
big
he's-
loss, but Bob Light has really stepped up into some very large shoes, and he's doing great.
Of course. Norm will always be involved somehow. I get that.
Silent partner.
Well, good. Would someone like to craft a short motion to approve the extra appraisal?
I move that we approve the reappraisal to update the appraisal to include the lotting plan for 302 Church Street.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Brian. Any more discussion? Very well, roll call vote. All in favor on this additional appraisal effort? Dan,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
and me, John, yes. So it's unanimous 7-0 to send that approval to the appraiser and give word to the Conservation Commission. Thank you.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, good. It's a good case to continue. Any other info on the landowner sheet?
I had on the that landowner spreadsheet, there were some items in what color was it? The blue items that were there that I did not send, that we did not send letters to in May. I wasn't sure if people were familiar with those lots and want to give me some feedback on how they thought we should probably proceed. There's probably 7 or 8 properties.
The updated sheet that you sent with this meeting's agenda, is it the same as last
Yeah.
month, line for line, or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
It's dated 5/23. I think it says 5/23.
very good.
Yep.
In that sheet, I pulled it up on my screen just to refer to it. Line 40 in the spreadsheet.
Is it 3 landowners, but not 3, but more than 3 parcels, right? Is that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Right. It's
Um,
line 40, then lines 54 through 59, but they're same property owners on multiple lots.
yeah.
Line briefly on line 54. Wait a minute. Oh. I'm confused. It's all the same address, but different parcels, except for the line 59.
54 and 59 are one landowner, and 55 through 58 are a different landowner.
Thank you. So 54 and 59 is a large, currently commercial property, and I recall past years that someone on the Open Space Committee did speak to the family. There was not significant traction in the discussion, as I recall, that just it's such an ongoing business that I'm not sure it was fully thought out, but it's obviously an enormous parcel that should that business ever seek to close, we'd always want to keep it on the radar, but I don't think it requires any current action.
Okay.
What about the other behind Shops Way?
Yeah, just to
Okay.
bring the
Way
committee up
over
to
to the
date.
border of Shrewsbury.
Yeah, there was some discussion over in Shrewsbury about having a trail that connects to Shops Way. And this was an idea or a potential to continue that so that we have a trail that goes from Northborough into Shrewsbury.
Got it.
I don't know if anyone has a regular contact over at the Trails Committee in Shrewsbury, but their open space or Trails Committee probably would be the ones to talk to about it.
I've recently started talking to them more. I visited them last year, sat in on one of their meetings, but I haven't had a chance yet this season. They've got a new chair now, but I'm certainly looking to coordinate with them. Just the roadmap on exactly how to do that it's a little gray.
Well, I think at this point, what I'd be looking for in our landowner spreadsheet, just the idea of maybe sending a letter to the property owner, whatever address we have, and say, we're interested in either an acquisition or some kind of a right of way for trails, and something like that, just so they know there's some interest. Because it's
Yeah,
been since, I think, 2017.
Yeah, I can certainly work on that, and I can sort of coordinate with the Shrewsbury folks to, let them know that I'm doing that, see what their thoughts are. I know they're super interested in connectivity as a concept, but I'm not sure if they have anyone focusing on the actual like land acquisition aspect.
Okay.
Has there been any movement to develop any parts of that as an expansion of shops, or is it just sort of backland mostly?
It's mostly backland. I haven't heard of anything coming into the planning department in Northborough.
So I noticed all that land's chapter 61. So, I mean, that's one way to acquire it, is buy it on the right of first refusal.
As long as they don't take it out of chapter before selling it, but
Yeah, that's good to have there. It's a good option to know that that's there, but sometimes, like we did with 432, it needs to happen quickly. So as long as we know that we are interested and that's a priority parcel, I think that covers us for the right of first refusal. Then it goes back to John's idea of making sure CPC is approached to get funds back in that account.
I do remember it didn't work the first time. So that the original parcel was chapter 61. And the town passed on the right of first refusal. And now we have the shops up there. But
yeah,
yeah,
it was the year before I moved here, and I moved it here, and I was like, oh, look at all of that habitat. It's all biomap core. And then the bulldozers came in. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that was rough. Oh
yeah.
well.
I mean, they wanted millions. So it was,
Yeah. Would have been a tough sell, but it was a pretty significant chunk of critical habitat there.
yep.
So I can mark that. It sounds like people in agreement. It's something to keep on our list, but I don't know that we need to do anything in particular. Maybe just coordinate, have Brian take the lead on that, and I can support you, whatever you need.
Yeah, I mean, if the landowner ends up interested in a trail easement, that could be a way to open up the conversation for future conservation. I mean, there's a pretty significant corridor there. There's Ski Ward, and then across the street there's Secco, and there's all kinds of stuff all in a row, leading over to the Cold Harbor Brook, Svidrich. There's a lot. That's a pretty cool corridor, if ever anybody was interested in conserving. That last one on the list that was highlighted in that color, I don't know, Leslie, do you think it's worth reaching out again? I think they have all the information they need. The tree farm there. You know what I'm talking about?
Line 40.
Yeah, I mean, we met with them. They have everything they need. When we met with them, what, 2017 maybe, 2016, their kids were in high school. Maybe they're waiting until their kids are older to decide. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Yeah, we met with them in 2018. Oh wait, no, this is what so let's see. Yeah, you last checked in with them September 26th of 2018.
Yeah, I think that was an email. I think the meeting was a few years before.
Yeah, the meeting was June of 2018. Thank you for walking the land Sunday. That was June 26th of 2018. Jan sent a follow-up email.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, I think we put it out there. I don't know unless anything changes on our end. We have some exciting news to share with them, then I don't know that we need to poke them again, but I don't know.
I mean, nothing can happen without us knowing, right? I mean, we have right of first
Yeah.
refusal, so it's not like we have to stay in touch with them because something
Right.
happened without our, like it did with other properties where it just happened.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
so on the other hand, they did not get a letter this round at all then, right?
Correct.
Um,
I mean,
you know,
it
it's
couldn't
been,
hurt to send them a letter. It's been
Yeah.
6 years. I mean, 6
Yeah,
years is a long time. That's not, I wouldn't call that harassing.
I was
No,
gonna
that's
say, it's been 6 years and I don't know what form it took before. I don't know if you have email, or
yeah.
even a letter that we send, but,
Let me see.
just reconnecting and, we wanted to remind you that we're still very active. You can even, if they pay attention in town, they know that, town meeting has approved several land preservation initiatives and, just want them to know that, there's an open discussion available when they're ready. That's something we should just maybe ask one of you two to draft by the next meeting or by the fall, just, rather than just leaving them alone.
Would
What
you
do
be
you think?
willing to take the lead on that, Ashley?
Yeah, I was just looking through the history. I mean, the last that we had spoken with them in 2018, they were taking a look at, they had a list of appraisers and they were going to think about how they might split things up and their house and everything else. So I can just shoot an email over and say, hey, it's been a few years. Still have any
Perfect.
interest in thinking about this?
Yeah, they were
That'd be
talking about the
great.
forestry plan too, right? Because they need to manage the forest.
Yeah. There was, some trickiness with the chapter 61. They had to qualify in 2 different ways. Yeah. So yeah, I will I'll shoot an email over to them.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. That's good update there. I have one other thing to report. I finally did my homework regarding the Indian Meadow property, and I called my buddy, whose number is still on my phone. Remarkably, he answered the phone quite quickly. He seemed to remember who I was, seemed to remember Northborough, that obviously the part of the land that's on the golf course is in Northborough, and was well aware of the reason that I would call him, but he reiterated that they like operating the golf course and have no plans to change. They're doing some updates to the building in the front that is on the Westboro property, and it's, very active in community events there. But so it was a good conversation. Glad we connected again. No need for any further letter at this time, but something to always keep in mind every year, because things could change. But as of now, there's no plan for them to do anything major. And besides, they know how difficult it would be to expand, build, develop anything because the land is so wet. So that was my report. I believe that's line 38 in this sheet, right?
Yes, excellent.
So it took me about 6 months to follow through on my commitment to call them, but I did.
It's great.
I have-
Thank you.
I have a question about our holds. Lines 42 through 46, which is the downtown area
Mhm.
that I drive by every morning on my way to Dunkin' Donuts. And it says 5/22/24. Is that just an update as a hold, or did we send something?
That one was an update to hold. That was, I had spoken to the planning director, and she said they're in the midst of working with them, trying to do some proposal, whether it's a development proposal or a land protection proposal. I wasn't sure of the details, but she said there was no real need to contact them because they're in contact with the town already.
They asking specifically about the first line, the largest parcel there.
Yes, but also Monroe, which is an eyesore right now. When you take the corner,
What line are you on?
46.
That small
Paul,
parcel there.
we asked them if they wanted to sell way back when we did the town common, and they were holding out for something
Yeah.
better for their little corner there.
Excellent.
Might be worth reaching out again, but like you said, Vinny, is Lori working with all of these folks?
Yes, so she's talked to them in the contact info notes. She spoke with them.
Okay.
And they're trying to work something into the town common development or improvements. So she's got the options that are noted and being considered for that. Not all the properties would be utilized for those, but
Mhm.
there are different options, so she doesn't want to lose the options.
Yeah. I have a question on the Harvey property. What does MDOD development mean?
Anthony, do you have that one? That's a planning board multi. It's a zoning district.
Is that the property for the, just came up the town meeting for the MBTA? I forget what the terminology is, but the MBTA land, right?
Yes, that's the MBTA district.
Okay. What was the question?
Just a note on that. And I don't remember, did it get approved? I think
Yes.
there's some questions
With a
around that.
It was approved with a modification to take part of it out, part of it to, so it was two parts, right? One was over by Shops Way and the other part was on the Harvey property or in that area. And the compromise was to take, I think, cut it in half there so that there was less impact on the residential areas.
That's correct.
Do we have maps on what that came out to? I just know that we were talking about this for an open space project before it ever was thought about as a, you know, whatever this is, this MBTA. And obviously it's in the downtown plan too, but it would be really great if we could, you know, protect this river riparian buffer. Whatever happens, that there's a significant buffer to the river. This is like main stem Assabet River running through. Hopefully the dams come out. Hopefully we can save the river. You know, I can't remember. I don't remember seeing any maps of what the final result was on that. But just reminding everyone that it was on our radar first.
I think Lori's got those. I can probably inquire.
Yeah. Okay, I can ask her.
There's a pretty good buffer too to the river, isn't it? 100 feet? You would know, I think, right?
Yeah, that's not very, I mean, that's not that much, but yeah, it's right.
And there are buffers that the commission, under the Wetlands Protection Act, there are buffers, but there's a lot of it is already developed up on Whitney Street.
Right, so it'd probably be grandfathered in.
Oh, Hudson Street, I guess it is. So yes, so that's where they're going to try to. Laurie's aware of it and is trying to get as much buffer as possible, but they're still in the process of making it a developable site. Because right now, I think this is the north end of the lot. I don't know, as Ashley said, I'm not sure exactly where the line goes through, but I know that they were trying to protect the portion that was near the Main Street end. So
Yeah, that part's not been. It's not really developed or touched. Which is
right.
Good.
I mean, to your point, Ashley, I think we should continue to advocate for the preservation side of it.
Right.
It was a focus of the master plan committee, looking at it being one potential development area that the consultants promoted. We all could visualize that. So,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, yeah, sorry, go ahead, John.
no, I just, I think your points are well taken, because it's one thing to envision developing it, but it's another to also consider protection of the river into the development. And I don't know how much of that the master plan consultants report actually consider that in a large way. It was more about making it a potential living and walking area and an asset to town. And I thought that was all good stuff, but it was very much a dream when we don't
Well,
have control of the property.
the final design, because when they first designed whatever they thought would be a good use of the property, it definitely had more near the river. And we, before the final came out, said, no, keep it all on the side of town hall, not in the riverside. And the riverside was left as a greenway and maybe a playground and things like that.
Okay,
But the development was all on the other side of the property with the potential like parking area underneath. And so that, it wasn't completely impacted right near the river. So there's a pretty good buffer. So we did our best to kind of lessen the impact in terms of the design. But of course, anyone who comes in there doesn't have to use that design. So I think, like you said, you understood where I was coming from. I think we just need to keep it on our list. I think we need to keep pushing to ensure that the river is protected, and the rivers in Northborough. We have a few tributaries and the main stem of the Assabet, and some dams that are on the state's radar to come down. So yeah, I think we just need to keep fighting for the
yeah, and I think as
nature in town.
I think as we're learning with regard to any downtown improvements, they're going to have to come in small increments. So
Yeah.
if there's an initiative that helps, just enhance that area and the river, maybe that's the low-hanging fruit that we can realistically see a result on, and in this portion of our lifetime. Right?
That company's taking over our trash on July 1st.
That's right. That's right.
So they better play nice with all of us.
Good point. Okay, fair enough. And then those other ones in lines 42 to 46, we talked about the little corner piece that kind of sticks in my craw too. Something could be done with that, and it could help parking. But here again, I think from the town planning office, they wanted to keep the ability to discuss things with those property owners with regard to downtown development, not strictly for open space preservation, but should it come to pass that something can happen that would add to the common or add to the Assabet Park, then it could come back under our discussion. But right now it's a stretch that we'd be using, say, conservation money or CPC money for any of those.
How do we stay updated on that kind of information from like Lori?
I
So
guess
like,
it seems that Vinny's been trying to do that on our behalf.
Yes, I try to get the updates with all planning type of projects.
mhm.
It comes slowly, then there's a mad rush, and then it slows down again. And so we're in a process, or in the time now, where it's slow.
Okay.
But you never know when they're gonna call up and say, okay, we got someone on the line, we want to make this happen now. So we have it on our list. I've talked to Laurie about it a couple of times, and she's aware of it. So she's really good about pulling things together and trying to make things work as best we can. And she knows that there's open space concerns in all these properties.
Okay. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay, any other input on any properties on our list that we haven't already talked about? Hearing none, I think we can move toward wrapping up. I want to talk briefly about the next meeting. We had, last fall or whenever agreed to go to an every other month format. We couldn't get it done in May, so now we're in June. We keep on that same timing. We'd have a meeting fourth Monday of July, and then another fourth Monday of September, another fourth Monday of November or thereabouts. And then on to January. So we avoid the holidays, and I think it's a workable model. But with regard to next July, we don't have a lot of business. We certainly have the continued discussion of this appraisal. Maybe we have results of it. I guess I'm going to advocate to leave the meeting time on our schedule and revisit when we get within a week or so of that. If we have either an update on the property we talked about or anything other of significance, we leave the meeting open, we keep it brief, and then we continue with the September time.
I agree.
Is that okay? I mean, I could certainly make a case to take the whole summer off, and there's not a lot going on, but
We might end up doing that anyway, but I agree it makes sense to at least keep the placeholder.
okay.
I agree, especially if we hear back from anybody on those letters too. We may
good.
or may not, but that way at least we're available.
And with the difficulties we've been having with getting a quorum, that July meeting, if we decide to hold it, might end up being in August anyway. So I think it makes sense to just keep it there for now.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think if we keep some reasonable schedule, we have a good chance of getting a quorum. It's hard for everybody to get to the multiple meetings that we all have. I appreciate people showing up tonight. We do
So-
important stuff, so let's try to maintain it.
So I'm sorry, we're talking about Monday, July 22nd. Is that correct?
That is correct. Should be clear of trails, right? You're always the third Monday. Is that still
Mhm.
true?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, we'll leave it at that. And any other business to discuss, anyone? Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Gotta have a second. Thanks, Paul. All right, roll call to vote to adjourn. Dan,
Yes.
Anthony,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
and me, yes. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you showing up.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Night.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
See ya.
Thank you very much.